Welcome to the Daily Beast podcast. I'm Joanna Coles, Chief Content Officer of the Daily Beast.
And I am Samantha B., Chief Content Officer and Professional Casting Agent for a whole squad of gorgeous fake Melanias.
More importantly, Sam, how did you spend election night?
Well, I feel
like it was a bad night in your household.
It was actually it was not an average night in my household, certainly, but I started watching all the coverage. I started watching the results come in. I immediately felt those 2016 vibes, and I actually walked away from the television, and instead I watched the Martha Stewart doc, which is excellent.
It's so good.
And we can talk about it at a later date. And we're not going to talk about it today because I have a lot of thoughts.
Well, I hope that we can get Martha on to talk about it. I interviewed Martha about a month ago. And she just said she didn't like it. And since then, she's been more vocal about not liking it. She felt it made her look sad. And she's definitely not sad.
Oh, well.
But I hope we can get her on to talk about it.
It was a great alt to watching talking heads go through election results, which is never fun for me. And I actually never like watching it. And then after the results came in, I simply could not summon tears. Joanna, I beg you to tell me, what was it like in the Daily Beast newsroom? Because I bet you had those TVs blaring, all those talking heads talking about crap.
We did. Well, you can't have them blaring because then it would be too difficult for everybody to work. But we have 4 big TV screens on. The entire of the staff was basically there. People came in from everywhere to do it.
Yep.
We also had a big crew on in London. And, you know, this is what we live for. For us, it's very exciting. This is our Super Bowl. We had a very rousing start to the evening from Ben Sherwood, who you know, and who is the CEO of the Daily Beast, and my partner in crime, I like to say. And he had run very successfully ABC News.
Yeah.
So he is very familiar with this territory, and everybody was just thrilled to be there. We had an enormous array of completely oddly juxtaposed foods. So we had, I think every nation's food was represented, apart from maybe Afghanistan.
Tell me, describe, what did you eat? What did you drink? Where did you sleep? Do you have a cot?
We didn't need a cot because it was very clear very early on what was going to happen. And everybody was pacing, thinking, have we prepared, right? Do we have enough pre-writes for this?
Describe your spread.
We had fish and chips to represent the British people in the office.
Wow.
We had sushi, we had salads, we had pizza. I was anxious that people were going to eat carbs and it was going to slow them down.
Sure.
But I would like to say I didn't smoke, but I wanted to. I didn't drink vodka, but I wanted to. It's a bit like the non-Bridget Jones's diary here.
Sure.
It was an abstemious night from that point of view. I mainlined protein for energy and lots of water.
Well, you know what? Distress burns carbs like
Does it? I
nobody's
hope so.
business.
Well,
and
that's good for the next 4 years.
I'm actually just so tickled imagining what your workplace smells like even a few days later, because I know that you don't have a single window in that building that you can pop open.
There were a lot of people who'd come in with their wash bags. So there was a lot of teeth brushing going on. Hugh Doherty, our executive editor, led the troops in the charge. It was very exciting.
That is
very exciting.
Delightful. Okay, I want to say, before we move on, I want to say congratulations on that big full spread in the New York Times.
Thank you.
The other day. Very good.
That was a fun piece for us.
And I do want to say congrats on a great photo following the New York Magazine photo fiasco. And as I texted you, the article refers to you as a glamorous Briton. And that's all that I needed to read. And
I'm happy to take it. Thank you. What I am told, I'm reliably informed that there is apparently a podcast out there that talks about the New York media. And my photo in New York Magazine was ranked number 1 worst. Number 1 worst in the top 10.
You redeemed yourself. And I guess I just have I just have a question for you, because, you know, in light of the decision that America has delivered onto us, what is it like post-decision? Do you have an all-hands come to Jesus the next day and you think, okay, well, this is what the next 4 years is going to look like?
For us, it's business as usual, right? Because we're going to have a new administration to cover. It's going to be an exciting administration to cover because they're not predictable. Donald Trump is not a predictable leader. He loves being covered by the press. We know that basically his job as president is to sit and watch television all day. And we are all now, I feel like, bit parts or extras in his reality show. America has been turned into the Donald Trump reality show.
I don't want to say that his job is to sit and watch TV all day. I think he has a
He sees
different
that as his
job.
job.
I don't think he's supposed to watch the Golf Channel all day.
But I think what he's doing is watching himself all day and watching what works and what doesn't work, right? He's very cognizant of the ratings. He's a performer. He's an entertainer. He has fans. That's how he thinks of himself.
Oh, boy.
And that's very interesting for journalists to cover.
Is everybody up for this? Is anyone up for this? Because by the time the next 4 years is over, we will have had 12 years of wall-to-wall Trump in our eyeballs. Is anyone up for this?
Well, I think if they're not up for it, they need to leave now. This is going to be an incredibly interesting time in American history. I mean, he's got all three parts of the government. It's astonishing what the Republicans have pulled off. And we are going to have a front row seat to history.
Oh, well, we will be talking about that today, and I do want to make note of one exciting thing, which is that we are together being interviewed on the podcast Pivot next week.
We are.
So we need to be ready for that.
We are. We need to do lots of prep. I'm going to start running around the block.
Yeah, we're not allowed to be vague about this podcast.
Is that what they
on
said?
Pivot. I just think we just need to have a mission statement. We need our own constitution.
We do. All right, you could
do.
write that.
Oh.
You write it and I'll edit.
I thought you were going to write it. Okay.